morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, good evening to you. Or afternoon, you should say. How is everybody? Look at this. We're got a nice room going. Oh, hey, look. And they're coming in. This is awesome. All right, folks. So we want to kick this off. We are here to help you guys win today, big time. And that's what we want for you. We want everybody to be successful. We want to thank everybody for joining us here on Clubhouse. We are doing a dual recording. We're doing a live session in Clubhouse, and Suzanne and I actually won't record you guys, but we're recording ourselves. So if you can't catch all of this, you can actually find us over on YouTube at The Real HR Show, and you'll be able to recap everything that we're saying. What we don't do, like I mentioned, we don't capture any of the voices from the audience and from the room over on Clubhouse because that's a big no-no, but we do capture what we're talking about here, the main stuff. So, all right, so what we're going to do is the way we do this is the first half of the show, we talk about what it is that we're talking about, and then towards the back half, then we go ahead and open it up for some open Q&A and dialogue. And before we go on, we want to welcome Kaylee and Cooley. You got your party hats on here in Clubhouse. It's good to see you guys. Also, good news too. Clubhouse is in beta for Android. Yay! So it is not fully open, but we want to make sure that when folks are coming in, look, you know what? You're welcome to go ahead and jump in, host a room here in the HR Club. I am the founder of that. We have over 20,000. Oh my God, I really got excited there. 12,000 members and listeners, and this room is for you guys. You know, the club is for you guys. If there's something that you want to do, go ahead and do it. You can go ahead and host it and have a conversation, start up a really great dialogue, and it is there for you. It's not just for what we do on our end, it's for everybody. And over to my, all right, wait a minute, I'm looking north and it's east. To my east, this way, it is Suzanne Lucas, known as the Evil HR Lady. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. I'm mostly good.
Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. So today you know what? Before I do that, I almost forgot. Man, I'm out of my groove. I was out last week at a 2-day conference down in Dallas, getting all jazzed up and learning how to win big. And now I'm out of my Clubhouse groove. So what we would like you to do, if you like the information that you are hearing, if you like what is being said, we ask that you guys go ahead and hit that plus symbol and invite people into the room. And also you can follow us. I want to make sure that you guys know how you can follow us. You can follow me over on Instagram, and you can follow me on my website at BrendaTheHRLady.com. There's a lot of really good stuff over there. And Suzanne, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at my website, evilhrlady.org, or on Facebook in the Evil HR Lady group, or on Twitter at Real Evil HR Lady.
That's right. And I have a group as well. It is called the Next Gen Women in HR. And Suzanne does not have a podcast, but I do, called The Best Practices in Human Resources. And you can find that over on Apple, Spotify, and Apple. Which ones is it? Spotify? Stitcher. Oh my gosh.
Stitcher.
I am out of my groove. Oh my word. Apple, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Lordy almighty. So anyway, so today we are talking about why HR can't have friends at work.
Right.
Ooh, right?
Yes. And for some reason, this is a controversial subject. And I don't quite understand why it's so controversial, but it is. And I think it's because we all want friends, right? And I have no problem with HR people being friends with other HR people at work. But you can't be friends with someone that you're going to have to discipline, terminate, right, or even do a performance appraisal on that's going to get help choose who gets the promotion or who doesn't. Because even if you yourself are 100% impartial, no one believes you are.
Yep.
Okay, we're done now.
Yeah. Stated.
Thanks
Well,
so much, you guys.
That's right.
We'll see
We're
you
out.
next-
No. No. You know what? Look, it's really tricky. I mean, you basically just, stumped it right there. But, something to remember is that HR folks, along with the executive leadership or the senior leadership of the organization, we have the highest level of liability in the company, individual liability, right? And that means that if somebody were to fire a claim out there, we have the likelihood of actually, in other words, they can come after us as an individual as well, not just the company. And so having relationships and friendships with people to where individuals are, your employees are starting to abide by my number one live and die rule, and that is in the absence of information, people make stuff up. There's a likelihood that you could even go to court for something that you didn't do, you're totally innocent on, but it's going to cost you a ton of money out the nose. In addition to that, you may have to go to court twice, because if the company was found guilty and you weren't part of that and you're now hauled in on a civil claim, you have to go to court again. That's very expensive. Even if you do have your own individual liability insurance, which by the way, you should have. And if you don't know where to go, you can hit one of us up and we'll be happy to connect you with people that we know. But that's a real thorn in one side right there. And it tarnishes your reputation. Even if you win and you're found to be you're not, I'm about ready to do double negative, not disingenuous. In other words, that I want to say innocent, but you're not guilty of the charge.
Right.
That would have been a lot easier to say, wouldn't it? Just that last piece.
That works. That works.
I'll just spit it out.
Yeah. It's something that we need to think about as HR people, to make sure that there's nothing that people can come at us for. And friendships, as much fun as they are, can put you at all kinds of risk. And it puts the business at risk, and it makes people not trust you. And you may think, okay, I will always do the right thing. But if I am best buddies with Bob in marketing and everybody knows it, and we have lunch together all of the time, and we joke back and forth in the hallway, and people call Bob my work husband or whatever. If Bob is sexually harassing you, are you going to come to Suzanne, the HR lady, who is Bob's best friend, to tell me? Absolutely not.
Probably not. You're going to leave the company.
You're going to leave the company. You're going to go to the EEOC. You're not going to come to me. And here's reality. If I found out that best friend Bob was sexually harassing you, I would probably be harsher on Bob because he's somebody I trust. Bob doesn't exist, by the way. This is just all theoretical. But it would really, really make me angry. And he would probably be worse off because I was his friend. But you don't know that. No. You think that I'm going to defend him because he's my bestie. And don't think that this isn't a real issue. It's really, really, really hard for people to report things like sexual harassment and racial harassment and general bullying, which isn't illegal, but really needs to be stopped. It's really hard for people to do that. If you've got friendships mixed up in there, it makes it even harder.
Yeah. And, actually bullying does have a legal definition. I'm actually.
Yeah, but it's not illegal.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
There we go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was trying to look it up. I was trying to sneak it in and look it up, but that wasn't going to happen. Suzanne, stop. It's like, maybe I can get it and I can get it ready. It's just like, hey, yeah, here it is. No, I know it has a legal definition to it. And it actually will hold in court. But, the other piece that I want to talk about, like in Bob's situation here, it's also very likely that Bob's going to lie to you if this is your friend, right? Bob in marketing,
Right.
if he's being accused of doing something, even though he's your friend, he is going to lie to save his own skin, because
Yes.
he is not a man of character. If a man of character, first off, wouldn't do something like that. And then second off, a man of character wouldn't lie about it. And I actually had a friend many years ago. I don't talk to him anymore, but he was actually fired. And he's that kind of guy that has adult humor. He likes adult humor. Everybody likes adult humor to an extent, right? And all of us have certain thresholds as to when adult humor is no longer funny, and it can be on the offensive side. So my friend Dennis went ahead and said something to a woman in the parts department, and he called her a mattress kitten, and it was supposed to be as a joke. And ultimately what happened was that he got fired for it because she found it offensive. And he's trying to tell me, he says, yeah, like a stuffed animal, like a kitten that you put on a mattress. I said, dude, who are you fooling? I know exactly what you meant by that. So let's not go there. And he didn't say anything. He knew that I had him. I said, you're 50 some odd year old man. You should know by now that calling somebody a mattress kitten is going to be taken in a very specific way, especially the same person who was caught having a relationship with her former boss. So let's not go there. Right? So they're going to lie. They're going to take advantage of that relationship as well. And that's a horrible feeling to get when, and thankfully I wasn't in that position at that time. I wasn't in HR at that time when all that went down with, my friend Dennis, but that's a horrible feeling when you're stuck in that drama.
It really, really is. And, we talk a lot about the role of HR, and HR needs to think like a business owner, and they always need to think of all of the stakeholders involved. And so when we're saying to people, yeah, I think that HR should have friends with work, and it's okay for us to go out to happy hour with a bunch of people from different departments or whatever after work, that's fine. You've got to think of all of the stakeholders involved, the other employees, the investors, the public relations side of things. What are people going to think about this? And you can't ignore it. And there are plenty of people that argue that I am wrong. Some of these people I very much respect as HR professionals, but their argument is always the same, which is, I have always been friends with people I work with, and it's never been a problem. And the thing is,
the day it is,
is they don't know that it's never been a problem.
Yeah.
Because you only know what happens. You don't know what doesn't happen. You don't know who left the company because they think that you arranged for someone else to get promoted over them. You may have had nothing to do with that promotion. You may have had nothing to do with it. But if that person is your friend, someone may think that you pulled strings to get that person promoted. You may not have even been aware that that was happening, but that person may think that, and they may leave the company. Or as we said, like with a sexual harassment case, they may leave the company, they may sue. Or that may allow your friend who, let me tell you, as Brenda said, sleazy people are sleazy in many areas of their lives. And I have some experience with narcissists. It's unpleasant. That's time for a different clubhouse room. But a narcissist will make friends with all the right people in right places to be able to do what they want to do. And so someone that is really anxious to be best buds with the HR manager may just be a genuinely nice person who gets along with you well. Or it may be somebody who is a bully, who is a liar, who is committing fraud. I dealt with a case a couple of weeks ago where this wasn't an HR thing, but the HR manager thought that an employee was embezzling and she wanted to investigate, but this employee was best buds with the CEO. And the CEO was like, no, no, Steve would never do that. And she finally convinced him on threat of her losing her job. And they did the investigation. And guess what? Steve was embezzling. Those are all fake names. Thank you very much. I keep things confidential. But it was that friendship. And is it possible that Steve cultivated a relationship with the CEO specifically so he could get away with that? Maybe. It worked for a long time. And he fought HR on investigating it because, of course, Steve would never do that.
Yep, but Steve does. And, you know, it's also really difficult for those who, let's say you come up in the ranks of your company and you weren't in HR when you first started, but then you become in HR when you start and when you keep on moving forward. And now you have all of these previous relationships that dynamic's going to change for you, right? Because now you're being placed into a position of high confidentiality and high trust. And if people know that you have friendships within the organization, even though you had them before you actually got the position, people are going to start looking at you very differently. And it's a long road to hoe, and you can get through it. I had a girlfriend of mine who I will definitely keep her name confidential, but her name was Donna, and she was actually being harassed by her supervisor. And she finally came to me and she goes, "I don't know what more to do." And I said, "What is going on?" And I literally was 2 days away from actually transitioning to another department in another or corporate office. And she told me what was going on in the story, and it wasn't that bad. I said, "You need to talk to the boss about this." And so she did, and conversations were had. But ultimately what happened is that now I'm out of the picture at this point. I've got a whole new responsibility. I'm in a completely different part of the country. And she calls me up a couple months later. She goes, "It's actually worse." And I'm like, "How is it worse?" And it's like, "How is that possible?" And she goes, "Trust me, it is." And then she went through the whole thing. So her performance reviews were always like high 4s and 5s. I mean, she's a good employee. She's a top performer in her department. And next thing you know what, her next review was 3.0 after 9 years of 4s and 5s. And so, right. So she was very upset about it. It impacted her wages and her ability to actually earn more for her annual merit increase. And then additional things started to happen, and she finally blew up. She exploded. She called me. She goes, "I don't know what to do." She goes, "I'm to a point where I'm ready to just lose my senses about her." And so we talked about it. And I said, "Here's what you need to do. You need to take this up one more level, because clearly things are going bad." So she did. And she actually got the corporate office involved. They did an investigation. They found that her boss, in fact, was harassing her and actually retaliated against her. And they fired him. Here's the most amazing part that happened after that, because this is just a juicy story. It has nothing to do with what we're doing here. But you have to hear this, because
juicy.
That's right. Well, you're really going to love this one. So this guy, do you remember the show To Catch a Predator? NBC. Maybe. It was called Catch a Predator. And what they would do is they would actually, there's a company that was called Perverted Justice, and they worked with them directly. And what Perverted Justice did is they worked with the FBI, posing as teenagers, young boys, young girls online. And then they'd set them up for the sting, right? Well, it wasn't on the show, but he was actually set up for a sting. And he was actually caught by an agent. It was all set up on the background. He was under the impression that he was going to meet a young teenage girl at a Wendy's, and the building was surrounded, and they nailed him. So, yikes. Yeah. So had it not been that I was able to move out of that position, I was moving out while the thing was going on, and I was able to help her understand, like, here's what you need to do. I've got no skin in the game on this. I have no responsibility. Right. And it was able to take her to the next level. Nobody knew that I had involvement in it. That was probably the most saving grace that I've had, with somebody being in a friendship. But when I first got my first HR job, I almost got fired because one of my other friends was let go. And I had told the guy that I was dating at the time that, I said, everybody knew at that point. I mean, it was not a secret. The whole damn department knew what was going on and they knew why. And it wasn't because of me, but I called the boyfriend that I had at the time down in Kansas and told him about it. And then he went running to the old boss. And all of a sudden, a day later, it comes up and says, yeah, I heard you let such and such go. And next thing you know, my butt's getting hauled in. And I'm like, I didn't tell him what happened. I just talked about how I felt about it because I've had this relationship with this woman for a year before I got this job. And I had to stand up for myself. It's not a comfortable position to be in.
No, there's nothing comfortable about it. And like I said, it's fine until it isn't.
Right,
And
exactly.
but you don't know when that moment is going to happen. And this is why I feel so strongly about it. And I realize that my HR experience is different than a lot of HR people because right now I come in and I come out of situations. I'm self-employed. I'll step in, I'll fix something, I'll go away. So I don't have daily interactions with a lot of people. And then when I was working in corporate, I worked for really large companies. And so we had like 300 HR people who I could be friends with and who I am still friends with to this day. It's very, very different if you are the only HR person in the company.
Yep.
Um, and this is one of these things that culturally we've changed. People used to spend a lot of times in social groups outside of work. People went to church. People joined, the Lions Club or the, I don't know, Rotary Club, which I've never understood what the Rotary were anyway, but they used to give scholarships. I don't know if they still do. Those things aren't as big anymore, and people tend to find their friends at work. And they don't have a lot of outside places to get friends. And if you've moved away from where you grew up, it can be really difficult. And so, of course, you look towards people at work. And it's a huge sacrifice for the solo HR practitioner or the person in an HR department of 2 or 3 to say, I can be friendly. And you have to be friendly. Heavens, yes, you need to be friendly to everybody. But being friendly is different than being friends. And I like to say friends share personal information with each other. Yep. So a friendly thing to say is, hey, Brenda, did you happen to watch WandaVision? Because I did and I loved it. That's a friendly thing to say.
Yep.
If I say, oh my gosh, I watched WandaVision and her meltdown reminded me of me because I'm going through all of this trauma. I mean, Wanda had people killed, but I'm going through this and that. And I start telling you all of my personal stuff. That's when we step over the line. Perfectly fine to talk about the television show you watched or have a friendly conversation. It's when you start sharing those personal things. Yeah. That you can step over this line and cease being friendly and start to be friends. And one of the things that I find fascinating about Swiss culture is the use of the word acquaintance. We don't use that so often as Americans. If we do, it's someone that we hardly know at all, right? Oh yes, I'm acquainted with him means like I met him once at a conference. But we'll use the term friend to refer to anybody we have a positive experience with. The Swiss are very, very clear. Like, nobody that I work with is a friend. They're all an acquaintance. The term is Bekannter or Bekannterin, in case you want to get up on your German. And so their language makes it possible for them to have these clear lines. We're a much more casual society in America, I think. I mean, we certainly don't go around calling each other Mr. and Mrs. very often either, which the Swiss like to do. But that gives you these boundaries. And it's tough, man. I don't envy people dealing with this.
No.
But it's necessary.
I agree. All righty. So we're going to invite some people on up. You guys are welcome to go ahead and raise your hand. And we had Michael who had raised his hand quite a while. He is passionate about building talent and enhancing culture. How are you, sir? Welcome.
You're going to be blocked right now. Brenda, kick him out. Kick him out.